Okay, good morning, Facebook family. So, I was able to do it. First of all, let me just say this. I don't like sequels with regards to movies because they're a little bit more, they tend to not have the oomph that the initial has. But I had to do a part 2 to yesterday's feed because it was just so good, because I was really in my feelings yesterday, and the way that I started out yesterday was not the way that I ended. I actually ended yesterday, I'm saying in my personal world, in my actual world with work and everything, and some of the things that I talked about on that feed, I was able to rail through. I didn't, because of my emotional state, I did not treat people unfairly. I was very good yesterday. So I just want to share that. But I said I was going to come back with a part 2, and I definitely am. And I was like I said, I was hygiening myself this morning, and I also had the opportunity to meditate this morning. And I'm going to tell you, if you think yesterday, and this is just to me, this is just my unbiased or biased, whichever way you want to look at it, feelings on the matter, I might be jaded because it's me, but I'm telling you, today, if yesterday was fire for you, it was definitely fire for me. Today is going to be a 3 alarmer, okay? I don't even know if that's a word, but that's how I'm gonna do it. But I gotta call that person back. So, today, I titled this 3 ERs, emotional reality, and emotional response versus emotional reality versus emotional response. You read the title. I think I jacked it up, but anywho. Okay, so I had the opportunity to, let me tell this person, I'll call them back. Okay, so I had the opportunity to Google, because I'm the Google queen, right? I'm self-proclaimed. And it says a reaction is a survival-oriented and on some levels a defense mechanism. It might turn out okay, but often a reaction is something you regret later. A response, on the other hand, usually comes more slowly. It's based on information from both the conscious mind and unconscious mind. And that comes from Psychology Today, but the header is Google. That's where I looked it up at. So that's what we're going to hang everything on today. But I want to talk about this because yesterday I'm telling you, this stuff works. When I start to listen, I meditate, and sometimes I do guided meditations, and I consult. Who guides me is this soothing spirit. I can't call his name right now. I want to say Kenneth. But anyway, he guides me in meditation. He's guided, and he's guided by a higher source, right? Put that right there. Put that out there, because he's not my God. He's just my guide. If that's what I'm saying, if that makes sense. And what he says in some of his guided meditations, if not most of them, is that where my attention goes, energy flows. Does that make sense? And that's a pendulum that could swing either way, right? It could be on the warm side or it could be on the cold side. I could be dreaming of building my life and having a career and, being independent and feeling free and financial security and fiscal responsibility. Those things, which may sound positive to a lot of people. But it could be on the other side, I'm going to get that joker. I don't know how I'm going to get him, but I'm going to get him. I'm sitting in the cut. I'm laying in wait, and it's going down. Does that make sense? Is that Felicia? Say yes or no. Respond accordingly. And I hope you feel it today. I hope you feel like coming on camera, because after I get going, I want to invite you on. So say yes if that's you, Felicia, because I don't have my contacts or my glasses on. I think that's you because of the little colored background. Good morning, it is Felicia. Okay, so next question. When I get to where we're going with this, do you want to come on? Just say yes or no and then respond accordingly. Okay, yes. So you want to come on. Let me get started and then I'm gonna bring you on. So, okay, let me start with this because this is what came up in meditation. The first thing have you ever had to go to the hospital? To the point where the emergency the EMT had to respond. If that's you, okay, great. If you've never experienced it, if you've been a witness, what happens, well, in my day, when I witnessed it, because I've never had to go in the ambulance per se for me, but I've had to accompany other individuals. And what the EMT would say is, what hospital would you like to go to? Yes, this is going to be the truth today. So they ask the person, what hospital would you like to go to? I don't know if they do that today. I don't know if they assess the situation and determine what medical institution you're going to based on your injuries. But back when I was of youth, that would be one of the questions that the EMT would ask you, provided you're conscious and alert and able to make sound decisions for yourself. Make sense? And so what would happen? They would ask you what institution you would like to go to. What medical institution would you like to go to for your treatment, for your injuries? And you would make your decision or whatever. So now we're going to talk about the 3 ERs today. Yes, get it? Because when you procure injuries out in the community, you know, a lot of times the EMT has to respond because the first letter of that acronym is emergency. That means that you have a medical emergency. So you get to the point where you're going to one of the ERs, your chosen medical institution. And then you get to the ER and there's this whole process that takes place. There's a nurse, there's a medical team that comes out because they've been dispatched by the EMT that something's coming in, someone's coming in, and said injuries accompany their report. Does that make sense? And so when they do these things, you're at the place where you're in this vehicle and you're being transported under the auspices of an emergency to your preferred institution. Now, stay with me if you're with me, because this is going to tie in really, really cute. So we got the emergency reality. Right? I want to stop right there. See, emergency reality, I want to use that analogy because the emergency reality is that you have a state of emergency. Yesterday, I talked about this and I want to talk about it. So if you did not see yesterday's feed, you got to go back, because my emergency reality yesterday was that I was feeling some feelings. And I talked about yesterday how my feelings a lot of times dictate how I roll. Right? Please stay with me because it's going to tie right into emotional response versus emotional reaction. If you did not hear the definition for that, make sure you go back to the top of this feed. I don't care where you jumped in at. This is like a double Dutch contest. Wherever you jumped in at, just at the end of all this, go back to the beginning, read the definition, hear the definition, or Google it for yourself, read it and interpret it, and then you'll get to where you're going. So we get there, and then it's emergency reality. My emergency reality was the fact that my son, how his life is and what he's doing and where he's at. Right? This is just a hinge knot. If you have a situation that is causing you an emergency reality, your situation may not be my situation that was yesterday. Today, I have a different emergency reality, right? ER. So, it encases me. It envelops me. It puts me in a chokehold. Yesterday's feed. So, I'm in this place yesterday, and the way I started yesterday is not the way I ended. My day ended beautiful yesterday. But today is a different emotional reality. And I got my ERT team, and Felicia, I hope I have permission to shout you out, because yesterday I shouted you out anonymously, and since you're on this feed today, I want to talk about at the end where I talked about goals yesterday. You are one of those people that are in my ERT, and I'm going to talk about what an ERT is at the end of the feed. If I forget, just remind me, because by that time, Felicia, you will be on camera. So by the time I got to this place, right, I get to the place where I'm going to the ER. I'm past my emotional reality. We know what it is. It's done been assessed, right? That I'm in a jacked up place. I'm trying to stop cursing because I'm in a jacked up place. And so it's determined that I need help. So these people that are part of my ERT, and I'm going to talk about that later, help me to get to the ER. That's what and it determines whether I'm going to react or respond. Now, let me stop and say this. Emotional reactions, I don't need no team with. I don't need nobody to help me to react based on the definition. I can do that all by myself. I will not, in the definition, it says you may not like what the consequences turn out to be, what the turnout will be. But let me tell you this, I can do that all by myself. But it just so happens, that I have an ERT, an emotional reaction team, right? They help me to fuck shit up more than what it is. They help me to mess it up more than what it is by their reactions. And if I'm not rooted right, because I talked about the young lady yesterday who responded to my son not coming on with me and things like that. My son not, calling me and not visiting me when he comes to town. But I was planted in a different place a week ago, so I was able to say thank you to her yesterday. So I was planted properly. Does that make sense? But when I am not planted properly, if I'm not rooted properly, my emotional reacting team could cause me, right? I could allow them to cause me great harm. And I could do stuff and react off of that, and it'll be, but when I got an ERT response team, like my ERT team, that ERT team, I have two teams now. I only had one at one time, but now I have two, which is ERT, emotional response team. And my emotional response team, Felicia, you are a part of that team. I have, of the masses that I have on the other team, the other ERT team, which is the emotional reactive team, there's a scourge of people over there. But my ERT team, which I just became aware of, my emotional response team that I have to beef up, there's only a few people. Does that make sense? And so now I'm at this place where I'm at the fork in the road right here emotionally, where I need to build my team up, my ERT team, my emotional response team, because what happens is this team will help me to sit back and plan and plot accordingly. Make sense? And so I need to put as many people on that team and do something about the other team. And sometimes you don't even have to do anything, because Felicia, you said that sometimes you don't even have to do anything. Those things will eradicate themselves, because the universe got a way of speaking, especially when you done put your stake in the road. So I'm here. So you get to the ER and you got your team of nurses and doctors who are assessing your situation further from what the EMT has done. And then they do their thing. They go into getting you an IV. This is the second level. You go into getting you an IV. Now, what's in that IV? What is your ERT? What peoples do you have in that room with you? Because this is a crucial moment. You are in a vulnerable state. Now, is that ERT putting good stuff into that IV to go into your veins to get you back up and hydrated or whatever? Or is it the ERT team that's going to get you back on your feet so that you could go back out into the streets and do that very thing that you did that got you in that vulnerable emergency state? Does that make sense? Good morning, Regina. So, and now I'm at this place, right? I didn't do the things that I wanted to do yesterday with regards to my son, because I'm like in here. I had to give time and talk to my people and arm myself. That's too much time for me. Your sister don't have a whole bunch of patience. But while you're in this ER, let's go back to the ER, and then I'm going to bring you on, Felicia. So we're at this place where we're getting really, really good at starting to learn the terrain to prevent us from having an EMT to come and address our issues and get us to a ER, so that we could wind up back at another emotional reality. Does that make sense? So that you can wind up in the ER again. And I'm tired of ending up in the ER again and again and again and again. And I'm talking about, like, not the physical, but I'm talking about the emotional, where I'm making moves out of desperation, where I'm always thirsty. I got to grab for the first thing, right? So that's where I'm at today with the ER. This is the second part from yesterday. If you missed the first part, please go back to yesterday's feed, which is the emotional chokehold, and then carry it into this one, because I told you this was going to be a 3-alarmer. Yesterday, the way I woke up this morning, I hope it's 3 times, 4 times better than what I feel right now today at this moment, because of my emotional state. because I'm learning to emotionally respond. And with that, I'm going to see if I can get Felicia on so we can get her thingy. Regina is. Do you want to come on and talk about ER? Say yes or no, and I'll respond to. What's up? Good morning. I actually was going to call you this morning, but I said no, she's probably sleeping. Go ahead. So now, ER, you got it, right? You got it, right, ER? I can't hear you. Felicia? I can't hear you. Oh, God, please. I can't hear you. Oh, my God. Regina, do you want to come on? Let me see if I can get Felicia back on. Maybe she come back on. But I'm going to talk about ERT, my emotional response. Felicia? I can't hear you. You can hear me? You can hear me, but I can't hear you. Okay, so she's gonna put her earbuds in. My emotional response team, while she's is the people that are going to. Can you hear me? No. The volume up. See if your volume is all up on all things. Oh, I hate this. Oh my God. Go ahead, say something. We're having technical difficulties, but this is one of the people that's on my emergency response team, not my emotional reactivity team, because my emotional reactivity team, it would be pictures all over this screen and they would have to get another one, but we need a like 55-inch screen for my ER, emotional reactive. I can't hear you. Oh my God. Now you froze. Can you hear me? Can you? Oh my God. I can't believe this. God. So, yeah, my emotional response team and my emotional reactivity team are not the same. They're not, just because they have the same acronyms, do not mean that they have the same. Okay. So what's going on? What happened here? I want y'all to see the sunrise, I guess. But anywho, we're gonna try her again. So, but that's where we're at this morning. I'm running out of steam. Felicia to come on. Can you hear?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, so
I don't know.
ERT.
I don't know what's going on here.
Okay, so we're here. But we got her. Hey.
Basically, you said it. What happens is we get stuck in a state when no matter how much once we begin to work, there's always work. The work don't stop. But what happens is everything around us start to notice that work and that growth. So we're under attack with ourselves, because what happens is no matter how much you grow, right? Years and years and years of certain patterns will show up in operative times. So what happens is it's a constant work. Once the work starts, it is a constant. We got to keep going. And we have to be careful of our teams, of our surroundings, because just like we have gone through some stuff, our family have seen and gone through some things. Just like we have, so have other people. So a lot of time, the advice that they give,
I
comes from a place of a person who has not started that work.
I fucking love it. I'm sorry, I'm trying to start.
Comes from people who have not even started that work. So their thinking is the ways of our thinking prior to this journey, prior to this chapter. So when they tell you things, naturally it sounds good. You know why? Because that's how we used to functioning.
And then when it sounds bad, when it starts to sound bad, that's an indicator that I have evolved.
I've evolved. I'm no longer there.
Why am I frustrated? Right?
Yes.
I'm frustrated when I hear stuff from people that have the same face that I knew for 10 and 20 years. I'm like, what the?
Yeah. It's very annoying. We call it those people who's running in place. They just running in place. We ain't got no time for that. So it's easier now to notice. It sounds good for a moment, right? But because you no longer reside there, it's not going to take long before you be like, wait a minute, that sounds familiar though. I did it that way.
It didn't work.
I didn't like the outcome. I ain't going down that road no more. You crazy. Thank you, but no thank you. You that's how you do your thing over there. But I'm over here and I'm walking this different path. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. And I was telling you the other day, I said, Tish, look, be careful, because what it sounds like to me is she ain't there yet. I don't know what she talking about, but yeah, I said it. She ain't there yet. She coming from a place where we was. You know what that's like already. You tried that. Why you acting like that's some newfound device? Nah, you tried that already.
It don't work. It don't work. It don't work.
And what happens?
It might work. Let's stop right there. It might work.
It might work for someone else.
Me.
It might work for someone else.
It's just not working for me.
Not at all. And I'm here to tell you, when it comes to undermining our worth, our self-worth, who we are as women, oh no, it ain't gonna work.
Girl,
more than enough today.
Let me tell you, I am
I settle for that.
No longer looking for a man. I forgot to touch on this. I'm no longer looking for a man. I need a partner. I need a lover. That's a whole nother patch of field right there.
We ain't gonna even start that.
That needs to be talked at another time, but that's a whole nother field that needs to be cultivated. The soil needs to be turned. Matter of fact, it ain't even nothing over there. It's just an open piece of land. I never even, because everything was, I want a man. Girl, I gotta get me a man. I need me a man. No, I need a partner. I need somebody who supports me. These are the things that I speak out into the universe that it's going to reverberate back. See, when I asked for a man, it reverberated back. The universe gives you exactly what you asked for.
What you asked for.
You got a male and you got a man. Now.
How did that work for you?
That don't mean he had to have a job. You ain't asked for no job. You ain't asked for a career-oriented job. You didn't ask for a supporter. You didn't ask for somebody to pour into your life, good, nurturing, positive thing. I ain't asked for none of that. I just asked for a man.
Asked for a body.
Yes.
Be very careful what we ask for.
I got a whole bunch of men. Okay, and we're going to keep that for another venue. But I'm just saying. Now listen, all the
Yes,
dysfunction that
ma'am.
goes along with it, going to the jailhouse. If you want to get gritty, right? Bail bondsman, learning all types of terminology that you really ain't even fit for. Bail's bondsman, domestic violence. But you got a
Uh-huh.
man, but you got a man though.
Yeah, that's what you asked for.
Throw him out every Friday because he took his check on Friday and spent it on some other female over there. And then you throwing him out, and then you bring him back because he done learned his lesson. So now he's bringing the check over to you. But you got a man.
Mhm.
It's time to level up.
Right.
It's time to
Right.
level up.
Right.
And I done got to the point now where I used to be like my brethren, my African American man, my African American queen, my African American king.
King.
Listen, are you good to me? How you treat me? And that's all I'm going to say to that. And I'm being unapologetic about that. Because how you treat me and how I feel, it don't necessarily relegate itself to a particular skin color. That's what my ERT team is. Listen.
There you go.
Are you good to me? Are you taking me through emotional turmoil? All for the sake of a body.
Mm.
Like I said, I take myself through my own emotional, so I don't need no team to drag listen. I could do that by myself. You know that saying, I can do bad all by myself? I could create chaos all by myself. It's them other people on that small team, that ERT team, I need them to help me get up. Because I could do the reaction all by myself. As a matter of fact,
Right.
I could get the party started and the emotional reactors could come and just accelerate it and help me burn the rest of the house down. But I could I could dump the gasoline around the foundation by myself. And then I can strike a match.
That's easy.
Then the reactors come along and they help me burn the rest of the house down. It take a hardcore team to help you build the house and keep it maintained.
Right.
That's the team. I only got 2 or 3 people on the other team, the ERT team, the emotional response team. That's what responders do. They're not called emotional reactors. ERT stands for emergency response team in the medical field. You don't need an emergency reactor team. You don't need a fire department coming to your house and looking, and they said, oh my God, this house is really on fire real bad. You know what, guys? We need to fall back. No, they're a response team. They have a sergeant or a captain, a fire chief that assesses the situation, and they strategize the men appropriately based on their skills and say, this guy, he could go through the roof, and this is how we're going to attack this, and this is the equipment we have that we need to use to do this. We need a response team.
That's right.
I burn my shit down by myself. I can do that by myself. Matter of fact, I'm a professional at it. People can pay me for the services, and I'm not your physical house, but you can pay me to come in, and if you want your life messed up, if that was a paid service, I would be rich. Now, I said it. If you want me to come in and mess your life up, that's my base nature. I can get paid for it and be rich.
But you know what? That's that work I'm talking about.
Yes.
Knowing that, being able to admit that, being able to say, hold up, wait a minute, going down that road again.
Yes. Yes.
You know? And then you said earlier, like you know, like
somebody
we were
laughing.
talking.
Do you see somebody laugh?
Like we were talking, you were saying how things fall off. So before you know it, that team over there not going to be as big as it once was.
And you need them. You need them
sooner or later.
But they're in a different capacity now. You need to look at so you could say, wow, look how far I've come.
Yeah. You definitely need it. It's necessary.
You need to look at them every now and then and say, oh, wow. Look how far away, and they start to get smaller and smaller in the rear view mirror of your life. They don't disappear. They
No.
get smaller.
Right. Right.
And you can't bring them with you
Absolutely. No.
because they don't want to come. Because where they
Another
are.
problem. Another problem we have. Another problem we have. When you start to do that work, oh, my friend, I've been knowing her for 20 or 30 years. Girl, look, come on.
She can't come.
And you pulling, and what you don't realize, you sliding back.
Because let me tell you, that life is powerful. It's real strong. It got a strong pull. Like, even though you may build your arsenal up and stuff, that negative got the strongest pull I've ever seen.
And it shows up at our most vulnerable times. So you got to be real careful with that.
Yeah.
You have to be real careful with that because it's easy. It's easy to get pulled back. And then it's that much harder
to get back up. Been there, done that. Each time I fall into an EMT state where I need some help, it get harder and harder. And why would I want to do that to the people that's on my ERT team, which is my response team? Why would I want to keep having them come back to the scene of the crime? They help me develop. They're developing, they're growing, they're building, they're manifesting, they're doing this. And then I'm dragging them back with my foolishness. After they done brought me to a place, I got to keep building and manifesting and doing this and doing that. And not saying we not going to have slips.
No, not at all.
Not saying that, but I'm saying repetitively, recursively, you're doing the same thing, but on a different level. You're higher than your reactive team, but you're not where you could potentially be. It's time to get unstuck. It's time to have less visits to the ER, if that makes sense.
Like you said, get that chokehold up off of us.
I need air to my brain.
You have to.
I need air to my brain so it can breathe.
How long do you think you can exist?
Yeah.
And your airwaves
is restricted. I'm just saying. So it's 7:04. I gotta get in, but thank you so much. We here.
Love you.
I'm gonna get in. Run this back later if you have not. You guys have a good day. You deserve it, and you definitely deserve it if you are pursuing it. Bye, Felicia. I'm gonna call you later.